Andromeda Turre for Savage Content. I'm really excited today to be sitting down to talk to my brother, Orion Turre, drummer, arranger, and composer. And we're going to talk a little bit about growing up jazz since we did it together. I know what it was like growing up with two crazy jazz musicians for parents, but you had a slightly different experience because you had a crazy sister that is 10 years older than you, also with musical tastes imposed on you. What was your earliest recollection of music or wanting to perform it?
Ooh, that's a hard question. Honestly, the first thing that kind of comes to mind is our Aunt Gail gave me my first gig.
Really?
She asked me to play a Little Drummer Boy, and she had a Christmas concert, and that was really inspiring. But also, I think it's just a matter of service, and I know that's a heavy word, but playing drums, I played in the rhythm section of all of your bands, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
all of our bands, meaning my band, Mom's band, Dad's band, Aunt Gail's band.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. When you come from a whole family of musicians, that's really interesting that you saw it as a position of service. Is it a position of service also to the music for you?
Yes, and I think actually I'm starting to find that more now in my current stage of life. When I was that age, then I was experiencing things. And then, also my Aunt Gail and my mom, they worked a lot with the hip hop blues program.
Yeah.
And that got me started at a young age teaching.
Yeah.
So teaching is also a matter of service.
It is a matter of service.
And culture and preserving culture.
Yes, and it's such a rich culture that we grew up in, the culture of jazz and also Black culture. And our dad, who has a very multi-ethnic culture as well, we had so many beautiful colors and rhythms to tap into. And I can hear how they all inspired you as a composer and as an arranger. I really love your original pieces, and I'm always so grateful when you are willing to share your talents with me. You arranged Who Am I, which is my original composition, but you arranged it and you put the A section in 7, which was amazing for this concert. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you asked me to put something on it, and I got to the piano and I got to work, and originally it didn't come out like that. It was the same time signature, and I was just working on it, and one day, life, I had a rough day. The brakes on my car went or something, I had to get it fixed, and I was grumpy, and I came home and I just heard that bass line that's in the intro, and I was like, well, it's different, but it felt good, and I just kept working with it, and it turned into what it was. And I felt like, even though maybe it was a little bit of a risk, it's like, hey, I turned this tune that you wrote and it's in 3, I put it in 7. Also, the tune is aptly called Who Am I? You know what I mean? So I just was like, I'm gonna be honest, and this is what I felt with it,
I really feel like it elevated the tune. I hadn't considered putting it in 7, but I think that not that it makes it uncomfortable, but the tension that the rhythm of 7 adds to the song really stretches into that question of who am I, of self-reflection. So you totally nailed it. Thank you. And speaking of life impacting your music, we are in a very special, hard, and incredible time in American history right now. I feel like the last year, all of the talk of social justice that has made the front of the news headlines in good and in bad ways, I know for me personally has been incredibly impactful. Has it impacted your practice, your creativity at all?
Absolutely. I think for me, everybody has their own ways to kind of cope with what's going on in this country, but I've decided to take the path of doing small change. So I talked about education. I've just been trying to teach more, do more group classes with kids that don't necessarily have an education program.
Right.
And then maybe my hope is that those small changes turn into large changes over time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rather than post or talk
Yeah,
about
you don't need to be a social media activist.
Yeah,
you can implement change.
Well, we need that too. We need that too because it spreads awareness of things. But we also have to do more at the root level. And I see, you know, I go to schools, and even now with the virtual classes, the parents have been a little embarrassed because they're realizing it. The kids don't know who Duke Ellington or Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder or Jimi Hendrix, you know, all the great...
I taught a virtual class, the kids had never heard of Michael Jackson. I was like, what?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Let alone Miles Davis or Coltrane.
That's completely off the radar. They have never heard of Charlie Parker for sure. So many.
Well, that's why we could still bring it to them because that information's available. Yeah. You know? So.
And the history of the music and jazz in particular's connection to social justice, and jazz is a tool for social justice, is a part of its history just as much as swing. So being able to weave these colors together and present them to children is actually a really great way to implement change. I feel like a lot of the things that both you and I do are slow change. We might not get to see the fruits of our labor always, especially with you because you do so much teaching with students. You plant a seed and it may not fully blossom until they're no longer your student. But I really love that you, in particular, always take the time with your students to really pour into them.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me about growing up jazz.